Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. Today we'll be taking a look at some of the most well-known characters who show up in the Harry Potter series, but whose Hogwarts houses are never identified. For anyone who's read or watched the Harry Potter series, the four houses of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry are common knowledge. Based on the four founding members of the school, Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, Rowena Ravenclaw, and Salazar Slytherin, the houses reflect the strengths, qualities, and beliefs of these witches and wizards, with each of the four houses being named after their respective founder. Those sorted into Gryffindor House value bravery and courage. Hufflepuff students believe in loyalty, patience, and fair play. Ravenclaw witches and wizards, on the other hand, are committed to intellect and wisdom. And lastly, Slytherin House welcomes students with immense ambition and cunning. From almost the immediate beginning of the series, fans are led to believe that these four houses play an immensely important role in the future and identity of the witches and wizards who attend school there. It starts with an offhanded comment from Draco Malfoy, before Harry even departs for Hogwarts, in the back of Madame Malkin's robes for all occasions. Draco, who seems to be speaking to Harry solely to hear his own voice, rudely suggests that Slytherin is a superior house to all the rest, especially Hufflepuff. "Know what house you'll be in yet?" "No," said Harry, feeling more stupid by the minute. "Well, no one really knows until they get there, do they? But I know I'll be in Slytherin. All our family have been. Imagine being in Hufflepuff. I think I'd leave, wouldn't you?" Soon after, when Harry asks Rubeus Hagrid, gamekeeper and keeper of keys and grounds of Hogwarts, about what Draco has said regarding the houses at the school, he's given an almost equally prejudiced response. "Better Hufflepuff than Slytherin," said Hagrid darkly. "There's not a single witch or wizard who went bad who wasn't in Slytherin. You know who was one." Despite his good intentions, Hagrid's response seems to simultaneously put down both Hufflepuff and Slytherin. And the stereotypes and presumptions don't stop there. Even Hermione Granger, a Muggle-born witch, who knows very little of the societal norms of the wizarding world, initially believes that some houses are better than others, saying, "Do either of you know what house you'll be in? I've been asking around and I hope I'm in Gryffindor. It sounds by far the best. I hear Dumbledore himself was one, but I suppose Ravenclaw wouldn't be too bad." Of course, as the series goes on, we discover that how students are placed and where they are placed is quite a nuanced process, with the desires of the witch or wizard being taken into account by the very thing that decides where to put them, the sorting hat. So, as we meet more and more characters throughout the series, we learn that the designation of a Hogwarts house may not be quite so black and white, as initially believed by Draco, Hagrid, Hermione, and others during Harry's first year at school. This certainly makes it more difficult to figure out where characters, whose houses were never officially revealed, may have been placed when they attended Hogwarts. To which I say, challenge accepted. In the past, I've speculated on the house that Alistair Mad-Eye Moody may have belonged to, but today I'll be focusing on a longer list of characters whose houses we never learned. These unsorted individuals include several adult witches and wizards whose stories weren't fully told, and whose school days were long past. As we work through the list, it's important to note that, while I've done my best to look past the house stereotypes that we covered earlier, these are speculative sortings based on the information provided in this series. They, of course, should not be considered canon, especially since each character has a complex personality that could potentially fit into multiple houses. I'll also mention that while these characters are not sorted within the novels or films, some of their affiliations may have been disclosed through supplementary materials, interviews with the author, or the wider Harry Potter lore developed after the publication of the original series. Now that we've got that out of the way, it's time to get sorting. Let's begin as a proper sorting ceremony would, with a version of the Sorting Hat song. Oh, you may not think I'm pretty, but don't judge on what you see. I'll eat myself if you can find a smarter hat than me. You can keep your bowlers black, your top hat sleek and tall, for I'm the Hogwarts Sorting Hat, and I can cap them all. There's nothing hidden in your head the Sorting Hat can't see. So try me on and I will tell you where you ought to be. You might belong in Gryffindor, where dwell the brave at heart. Their daring nerve and chivalry set Gryffindors apart. You might belong in Hufflepuff, where they are just and loyal. Those patient Hufflepuffs are true and unafraid of toil. Or yet in wise old Ravenclaw, if you've a ready mind, where those of wit and learning will always find their kind. Or perhaps in Slytherin, you'll make your real friends. Those cunning folk use any means to achieve their ends. So put me on, don't be afraid, and don't get in a flap. You're in safe hands, though I have none, for I'm a thinking cap. First up, Madame Rosmerta, Hufflepuff. Madame Rosmerta was a British witch and the proprietor of the Three Broomsticks, the popular pub and inn located in the wizarding village of Hogsmeade, which neighboured the grounds of Hogwarts Castle. Although not much is known about Madame Rosmerta, she presumably would have attended Hogwarts in her youth before becoming the landlady of the Three Broomsticks. Her patience with patrons, work ethic concerning her establishment, and natural sense of hospitality towards witches and wizards who visited the Three Broomsticks all seem to suggest that she would have been sorted into Hufflepuff. Next we have Garrick Ollivander, Ravenclaw. The world-famous wand maker Garrick Ollivander was the owner and proprietor of Ollivander's, a wand shop located in Diagon Alley. Ollivander was so well known as a wand maker due to his unique perspective and beliefs regarding wand lore. He was the only proprietor who firmly believed that the wand chooses the wizard, and not the other way around. He would, therefore, not create wands simply to sell them for large sums of money. Instead, he intently studied wand materials and even methodically recorded his findings in notes that focused on wood types, cores, and more, all of which he put together over the length of his career. He used these findings to help him build the wands that would speak to the witches and wizards who visited his shop, allowing him to pair his instruments to people who were destined to belong to one another. Given his deep intellectual pursuit of wand lore, it seems rather likely that when attending Hogwarts, Garrick Ollivander was indeed a Ravenclaw. Which brings us to Arabella Figg, Hufflepuff. The intentionally unmemorable elderly neighbour of the Dursleys, Arabella Figg, turned out to be a squib with a profound sense of loyalty to Professor Albus Dumbledore. As squibs are individuals born into a magical family who do not possess magical abilities themselves, it's unlikely that Arabella would have been allowed to study at Hogwarts for very long, if at all. That said, had she attended school there, I believe she would have been sorted into Hufflepuff due to her intent loyalty to the wizarding world, which could be seen in her infallible reporting to Dumbledore all those years, and to the secret care she provided Harry. She was also obviously a very patient person, as she humbly stood by, keeping an eye on Harry whenever he resided at number 4 Privet Drive. Next we have Mundungus Fletcher, Slytherin. A wizard of questionable moral character, it's pretty safe to say that Mundungus Fletcher would not have been a Gryffindor student while attending Hogwarts. Instead, it's much more likely that he was sorted into Slytherin, considering his resourcefulness and somewhat dubious morals. Despite being an original member of the Order of the Phoenix, Mundungus was a pretty shady character, who enjoyed dealing in stolen goods and merchandise, showing his inclination for ambition and cunning much more than any other house's known traits. Which brings us to Kingsley Shacklebolt, Gryffindor. Kingsley Shacklebolt was portrayed as one of the most formidable wizards of his day, with the exception of Albus Dumbledore, of course. As a skilled aura for the British Ministry of Magic, and later the Minister for Magic, Shacklebolt was clearly a brave and accomplished leader. After battling Death Eaters and fighting alongside Order of the Phoenix members throughout most of his adult life, it's not hard to imagine that Kingsley was almost certainly sorted into Gryffindor as a student. Followed by Andromeda Tonks, Slytherin. The mother of Nymphadora Tonks, who was most often referred to as simply Tonks, Andromeda was a member of the Black family before she married Nymphadora's father, Ted Tonks. As the majority of the Black family was traditionally sorted in Slytherin, it seems pretty likely that she would have also been placed in this house, not to mention that she clearly had the ambition to leave behind her extremely prejudiced family, and did so successfully. And then of course there's Ted Tonks, Hufflepuff. Similarly to his daughter Nymphadora, it's likely that Ted Tonks was also a Hufflepuff student while attending Hogwarts. This is further supported by his intense loyalty to his family and kind-hearted nature. He and his wife Andromeda even let Nymphadora use their home as a safe house during the Second Wizarding War against Voldemort and his Death Eaters, despite neither of them being a part of the First nor Second Order of the Phoenix. Next up is Cornelius Fudge, Slytherin. You are blinded by the love of the office you hold, Cornelius. Albus Dumbledore accused Cornelius Fudge during Harry's 5th year at school. After being the British Minister for Magic for 6 years, it was clear that Fudge valued power and status more than duty. Due to his unbridled ambition and desire to maintain his position, he was very likely a Slytherin. His designation of Order of Merlin First Class also suggested his drive for power and recognition went beyond his time in office as minister. Next we have Rita Skeeter, Slytherin. The unethical journalist Rita Skeeter was known for her salacious news stories, most of which turned out to be based on incorrect information and false interviews. However, these pieces often went over very well with her readership and likely helped her climb the corporate ladder at the Daily Prophet, the wizarding newspaper based in London, England. Her ambition to cover popular material also led her to pen a few tell-all biographies, much of which was also fabricated and misreported. Hermione Granger also discovered that Rita used her ability as an animagus to transform into a beetle and eavesdrop on private conversations, which she would then include in her reporting. With her ambitious and cunning methods in journalism, it seems rather unquestionable that Slytherin would have been the best house for Miss Skeeter. Moving on to Xenophilius Lovegood, Ravenclaw. The father of Luna Lovegood and editor of the Quibbler, Xenophilius Lovegood, may have been a bit of an odd character, but there's no arguing that he was quite intelligent. Despite his outlandish appearance and eccentric views, Xenophilius was committed to knowledge and used his intellect to put together and publish his own fringe publication. To me, this indicates that, just like his daughter, Xenophilius would have also been a Ravenclaw student. And then we have Ludo Bagman, Gryffindor. Ludo, short for Ludovic Bagman, was the head of the Department of Magical Games and Sports during the 1990s. Despite not being the most prominent character in the series, we do know that Ludo had an interest in gambling and games, as suggested by his career as a professional Quidditch player and then as a ministry official for the games department, as well as his involvement in illegal betting with goblins. This suggests that Ludo had a certain carefree and adventurous spirit that could align with Gryffindor. His penchant for taking risks might also hint at some of the more daring traits associated with the House of the Lion. Next up is Rufus Scrimgeour, Gryffindor. As a former head of the Auror Office and later Minister for Magic, Scrimgeour's tough, no-nonsense approach to leadership and security suggests he may have been a Gryffindor. His bravery and determination to fight against dark forces were also very much in line with the values of this house. Last, but certainly not least, we have Madame Poppy Pomfrey, Hufflepuff. Our final unsorted character on today's list is Madame Poppy Pomfrey, the hard-working matron and head nurse at Hogwarts Castle. Known for her dedication to caring for students and her strict but fair bedside manner, Madame Pomfrey held the position of matron for at least 25 years. These qualities, in combination with her longevity in the role, could be indicative of her possible placement in Hufflepuff, given the house's association with hard work, dedication, and a strong sense of fairness for others. Before we go, it's important to remember that these sortings are not canonical and are merely my interpretations based on what's displayed by characters throughout the Harry Potter series. But of course, as discussed at the beginning of today's video, sorting is not always a straightforward endeavor and can be incredibly complex, with each witch or wizard potentially fitting into multiple houses depending on which traits are emphasized and focused on. With that, we've come to the end of another video. What did you think? Do you agree with how I've sorted these previously unsorted characters? Are there any characters you would have sorted differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure to check out the content on Spotify, as well as extra content on my second channel, Harry Potter Theory Extra. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams, and to forget to live.